The fire chief also says that crews will remain on scene here, putting out the flames and monitoring the scene throughout the night and into Monday. No lavish hotels for the crew at the Fur Trader Rendezvous. Everyone who is here for the state fair works, cooks, and eats on the grounds the entire time. They even sleep in teepees such as this one. Welcome to our ongoing election coverage of tonight's Decision 2016 results. We have seen some changes in the results from when I updated you last, so let's get right into the numbers. You look at some of the other races across the state. You have John Hoeven, he's a politician. Yep. You have Kevin Kramer, politician. Doug Burgum is not a politician. He was a businessman who came out of nowhere. The sheer number of police officers that arrived at this college is just impressive. It's not only police officers from all across the state of North Dakota, but yesterday I had the privilege of speaking with some police from New York City and Chicago. So tell me, why off the taxi? What goes through your mind when you see this, when you see your property underwater? All of the turmoil going on in the world, from the terror attacks in France to the mass shooting in California, raises a simple question. How do you discuss all of this with your kids? I just spoke with the police chief here in Stanley regarding the bank robbery that happened yesterday afternoon. I'm standing across the street from the American Bank Center, which is closed right now. Good evening. Stephanie is on assignment. North Dakota's congressional delegation is joining Governor Burgum in urging the White House to declare a major drought disaster for the entire state. 30-year-old Richie Wilder Jr. is set to stand trial this week in North Central District Court. Now, he's accused of killing his ex-wife Angela Wilder. This is what the new-look Oak Park movie theater looks like. With more than 230 cozy seats to watch the movies, Barcombe says that many of the dog grooming salons in the Magic City fill up pretty quickly, so she's giving dogs like Percy here a little opportunity to get their hair cut. Oh, yeah. This is the drug that doctors at Trinity's ER say they use to counter an opiate overdose, naloxone, also known as Narcan. But they say the treatment only works for opiate overdoses, not other types of drugs, and naloxone brings with it challenges of its own. People come here to the North Dakota State Fair to have fun, but they also come here to learn with the livestock and the agriculture. How do you see what you do here at the Fur Trader Rendezvous as a learning experience?
I have 3 grandchildren who have lost their mother and their father.
Good evening. An emotional day in North Central District Court.
This afternoon, the jury convicted Richie Wilder of murdering his ex-wife Angela in her Northwest Minot home last November.
I was in the courthouse today as both families shared their reactions to the verdict.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action to find the defendant, Richie Edwin Wilder Jr., guilty of the crime of murder. It
took the jury of 6 men and 6 women less than an hour to convict Richie Wilder of Angela Wilder's murder. In her closing argument, Deputy State's Attorney Kelly Dillon reiterated a week's worth of evidence, from surveillance images to the blood stain in the car and Richie's DNA found in Angela's finger clippings.
He left that house, Angela Wilder's house, on November 13th with Angela's blood on his hands. He still has Angela's blood on his hands.
Wilder's attorney, Carrie Rosenquist, denied the credibility of testimony from Thursday, where a former jail inmate claimed that Wilder admitted to him to killing Angela.
After a year being locked up, waiting for a trial of this magnitude, are you going to tell anybody that you stabbed the hell out of the person whose murder trial that you're standing for? No.
But the jury sided with Dillon, who brought to light a tense email back and forth between Richie and Angela leading up to her death.
Even the day before she's murdered, she sent him an article about being a narcissistic father.
Angela's mother, Linda, said God would judge Richie for his actions, and she showed remorse for both families.
I lost my daughter last year, and now they're going to lose their son. And it just breaks my heart that any of this happened.
Richie's current wife, Cynthia, remained resolute in her husband's innocence.
He's a good man. He's a good husband. He would never do anything that would hurt his kids. I stand by him.
She said she will continue to focus on raising their children.
I am what the kids have now. I am They've been with me for the past year, and they will continue to be with me.
Judge Gary Lee ordered a psychological evaluation for Wilder, who will be sentenced March 16th and faces a possible life sentence. A side note on today's verdict, because of the institution of Marsy's Law beginning next year, the state will have to accommodate for any other victims of the crime to allow them to participate in Wilder's sentencing in March. Angela Wilder would have turned 31 this past September. The sound of 100 police sirens took over the main drag through Rolla as the body of Deputy Colt Ellery returned from Grand Forks. Later, amid the backdrop of a flag at half-mast, the Rolla community and law enforcement gathered together at Rolla City Hall for a candlelight vigil.
I'm here to pay my respects to a fine officer who gave his life in the line of duty and upstanding citizen.
The community honored Deputy Ellery through song and traditional Native American chants and drums. Some mourners even made T-shirts commemorating this fallen hero.
We have such a small community, and everyone's kind of tight-knit together. Everyone knows everybody, and it's such a small community that one thing happens, everybody gets involved.
Friends and neighbors coming together as one community to remember a life.
We ask you, Lord, to allow this to be a moment of grace for all of us to realize just how fragile we are.
The mourners then walked across Rolla to the public school with the help of a police escort. In Rolla, for NBC North Dakota News, I'm Joe Skurzewski. History buffs have a home at the North Dakota State Fair. The Fur Traders Rendezvous offers fairgoers a chance to experience life in the late 1700s and early 1800s when American pioneers forged west. This blacksmith teaches youngsters how to mold metal into everyday tools.
We try to educate people, tell them a little bit about, different aspects of history, maybe some things that people don't know about, and make it fun for them to come through here and come and see what it was like back in the old days.
Across the way, this wood carver goes to work making the perfect instrument for a tune. You can also take in a shooting demonstration, along with an axe throwing competition. No lavish hotels for the crew at the Fur Trader Rendezvous. Everyone who is here for the state fair works, cooks, and eats on the grounds the entire time. They even sleep in teepees such as this one.
They come back every year and they're excited to see progress on whether it be canoe or paddles or what new projects you're working on.
This brain tanner began work on his canoe at last year's state fair, but he brought it back to finish the job.
I'm going to seal it up with some pine pitch, turpentine, some beeswax, and hopefully get her on the Missouri River here in August.
Making history come alive at summer's biggest party.